June flower in Jesus' name. Chapter 14. They'd finished feeding the group, which had grown by 6 people. Toby and Caroline's children, Grace and Brody Smith, and Keegan and Lizzie's eldest children, Heather, Rose, and Violet Anderson. Kimmy Lee had been given leave from her mother's side and had also joined the group. Jeffy had eaten in the office as she continued to work on the equation, her frustration growing. Jason informed her that the FBI was not nearly as far along as she was, which was not good news, but also not surprising. She had some of the most brilliant minds in the world working with her on it. She felt confident that together they would solve it, and she felt confident it wouldn't take much longer. The frustration came in thinking what her parents could be going through while she plays some stupid mind game. Jeffy suddenly looked up. "What did you say?" Cam turned from the window, his brow raised. "I didn't say anything, Jeffy. Maybe you need to take a break, hon." "I heard you say something." "I didn't say anything," he repeated. "Cam, I heard a man's voice, plain as day." "Well, it wasn't me." Jeffy eyed him, knowing he was telling the truth. She jumped up. "We need to do another session." They hurried out to the group, who were clearing dishes and washing counters. "Tell me you got it," Mark said when he saw her. She shook her head. "Sorry, not yet. But I think we need to do another session. If everyone doesn't want to help, I understand, but I'm hoping I can get as many as possible to help." "What's happened?" Ricky asked. "Why suddenly?" "I thought I heard Cam say something, but he didn't. It was a man's voice. I know I heard it. I'm thinking it was Dad. Please, I have to try." "I'm in," Joey said. "Me too," Bree said. "I think we're all in," Keegan said. "Front room, everyone." They kept with the same protocol. Again, as they prayed and meditated, the room grew warm. It took Jeffy only a few minutes before she started speaking. "They're alive," she whispered, her voice cracking with the emotion. "They're together." She shook her head. "Something to do with genetics. Large facility. Black. Black. He keeps saying black, or maybe pain. Dad is telling me to calm down. He knows I'm listening to him. He's trying to tell me what he's learned." She shook her head. I can feel his emotions louder than I can hear the words he's trying to send out. He's excited. He's tired. He's hungry. He's worried about Mom. He's worried about us. Wait. He realizes his thoughts are too scattered, and he's trying harder to concentrate. I see something, an infinity symbol. It's yellow, and letters. GEDNA. Black. Black. He's saying black is important. It's not a color. It's a name, Joey said. Jeffy nodded. "Yes, it's a name. Black." And then the infinity symbol and Gedna, GEDNA. "A logo," Mark said, "and an acronym." "Dad, listen to me. We're coming for you. Don't worry, we're coming for you." She shook her head. I don't think he can hear me. His mind is not as clear as before. He's tired. Someone else is there. Oh, they've brought them food. Dad has turned his attention away from me. "Gotta go, baby girl," Jeffy said, as if the words came straight from Eric's mouth. "Mom's okay. Stay strong. We'll be together soon." Jeffy blinked several times as she lost contact. I could feel them, Dad mostly, but I could feel Mom too. It was so weird. They're in some turmoil. The stress is getting to them. Dad is angry. I could feel it, but it wasn't directed at me. "Well, we have some research to do," Keegan said. "I need my computer at Ameritech," Joey said. "No time, Joey. Just call it into Jason," Keegan answered. Joey nodded as he got on the phone and the others cleared out. Cam knelt in front of Jeffy. "Hey, you did good." She shook her head. I thought I'd get more. I was so sure." You got a logo, a name, and possibly a company acronym. Geez, Jeffy, that's fantastic. It won't be long now, unless I don't figure out this equation. He held out his hand. Let's get to it. New scene. Taylor Keno stood in the doorway, watching and waiting for an opportunity to speak with Logan. She was sure he would think she was just flirting with him again, but this time she wasn't. She needed to ask someone some questions, and he was the only one she thought would keep her confidence. Well, to be fair, anyone in her family would keep her confidence, but they would also know she was up to something and would restrict her to her mother's side if they figured out what she wanted to do. When it looked like the girls were all going for a walk on the beach, Taylor made her move. She approached her 16-year-old cousin and touched his hand. Logan? He smiled at her. Hey, Taylor. What's up? Would you mind if I talk to you privately? He frowned. Taylor, if this is please, he sighed. Okay. He looked around. You want to walk out on the beach? Okay. They headed out the door. Once they passed the pool and the garden, they followed an elaborate boardwalk that took them easily over the deeper sand to the harder packed beach. They automatically turned north, walking slowly. Okay, Taylor, Logan said, what's this all about? Well, do you ever feel like frustrated? I mean, like you want to do something to help, but you can't do anything? He smiled. Yeah, sure. That's pretty much how everyone is feeling right now. Is that how you're feeling? She nodded. It's making me crazy. Let me ask you this. If you found out there was something you could do to help, would you do it? Of course, in a flash. Do you know of something I could do? No, I'm just saying if there was something, you probably wouldn't even hesitate, would you? Well, I hope I wouldn't. She sighed. You know, a lot of people say I look just like Aunt Jeffy. Logan stopped walking and looked her over. Yeah, you do. I mean, of course you do. Your mom is Grandma's daughter, and your dad is Granddad's son, so of course you're going to look a lot like Jeffy. But still, you look like you, too. Yeah, I look like me, but I do look a lot like Jeffy, don't I? Logan shrugged. I just said you do. I mean, Aunt Jeffy, she's so beautiful. And so are you, Taylor. Is that what this is all about? You want to know if you're as pretty as Aunt Jeffy? Yeah. Some people say we could pass for twins. He nodded, except she's taller than you, and your hair is straighter. Taylor grabbed a lock of her long dark hair and nodded thoughtfully. Yeah. She smiled and rose up on her toes and kissed his cheek. Thanks, Logan. You're the best. Before he could answer, she took off running toward the house. New scene. Jeffy slipped the piece of paper in her sock before she pushed back away from the desk. Cam immediately looked up. Are you okay? I'm just so tired. My brain is burned out. Maybe if I get a good night's sleep, I'll be able to figure this out first thing in the morning. Cam's brow furrowed before he nodded his head. Yeah, maybe that's exactly what you need. Jeffy rose from the desk, stretched her arms over her head. Think I'll go in the kitchen and grab a snack. Would you like something? Sure, whatever you're having. Okay, be right back. Why don't you get our deluxe mattress made up? Will do, Cam agreed. He waited for her to close the door before he went to the desk and looked over her work. As far as he could tell, she'd gotten further. Several pages further, apparently, but not far enough. Still, he thought she was acting strange. He quickly shook the mattress out on the floor, turned on the air pump, and headed to the kitchen to see if he could discern what she was up to. Jeffy looked up at him as he entered. Is the mattress all ready? Almost. I thought you might need some help. No, I got it. I'll be right there. Nodding, he watched her for a moment, then headed back to the office, turned off the pump, and threw the sheets and blankets over the mattress. Turning quickly, he was heading back out the office door and practically ran into Jeffy as she was headed into the room with a tray. Oh, Jeffy said, holding the tray up so the milk wouldn't spill. Where are you rushing to? I was just coming to see what was taking you so long. It didn't take me that long, Jeffy said casually. What's wrong with you? You're acting strange. Strange? Cam said. Just a little on edge, I guess. He reached for the tray. Let me get that for you. Jeffy allowed him to take the tray. He placed it on the desk, carefully eyeing the contents. You found leftover chocolate cake. Cool. Miss Mattie put some away for me for later since I didn't have any after dinner, she said with a smile. I brought a piece for you. She handed him the plate. He took it but frowned down at it. What's the matter? Didn't you like it? Oh, yeah, just I'm not sure I feel like eating it. Jeffy shrugged. You did say you wanted to have whatever I'm having, didn't you? Oh, yeah. He took a small bite. He realized he was acting strange, and that was because he had a feeling Jeffy had solved the equation. A strong feeling. Otherwise, she wouldn't be stopping to treat herself to chocolate cake. For some reason, she felt more at ease. She felt relaxed enough to eat. It's a celebration of sorts. Here you go, she said, handing him one of the glasses of milk. He took it, looked it over, smelled it, and took a small sip. He had visions of what Bree had done to Jeff Davis all those years ago when he'd been assigned as her bodyguard. She'd slipped Rofinol into his lemonade and left him sleeping on the beach while she went to face down the bad guys alone. No way was Jeffy going to get one over on him. He watched as Jeffy gobbled down her piece and drank all her milk. You must have been hungry, Cam said. I guess so, she answered. Are you going to eat? Actually, I was thinking of another kind of dessert, he said softly. Smiling, Jeffy eyed the door. Cam rose and locked it and went to her and offered his hand. When she took it, he pulled her up and wrapped his arms around her waist and brought her snug against him. I love you, Jeffy, he said softly, looking into her eyes. She placed her hand against his strong jaw and rubbed against the stiff bristles from him not having shaved in a few days. I love you too, Cam. I do. I want you to know that no matter what happens, I love you. He had to smile. For being so smart, she was so transparent. He wasn't sure how she expected to sneak away, but he was going to be on her like glue. He decided to distract her a bit. You love me, huh? He whispered, nuzzling her cheek with his lips. Yes, with all my heart. But not enough to marry me? She looked up. Please don't think that. Yes, enough to marry you. I don't understand. You said you couldn't marry me. I'm sorry I haven't had time to explain it to you, but I swear I will. Just not tonight, Cam. Not now. I have so much on my mind. Well, I'm going to take your mind off of some of those things. Can you? Will you? He circled around behind her and began to massage her shoulders. You have a lot of tension here, he murmured as he dug his thumbs into the sensitive spots beside her shoulder blades. She sighed. He moved close. He brushed her hair away from her neck and kissed her there. She leaned back against him, resting her head against his strong shoulder. Do you think it's wrong that I want you? She asked. I mean, with who knows what happening to my parents right now, and all I can think of is being as close to you as I can get. Well, you need comfort. You need release. I need you, Cameron, she whispered. I know. Look up, he demanded. She lifted her head and realized they were standing just in front of the large mirror across from the desk. Her hair streamed down in front of one side. Her hair streamed down in front on one side, while Cam's lips were pressed to her other cheek. His eyes were open, watching her as she was now watching him. Her fingers worked the buttons of her shirt, but he stopped her. He could just see a small part of her bra that did not have sex in mind when it was designed. More likely it was designed by a 10-year-old, for it was white with yellow smiley faces all over it. Sexy, he said with a chuckle. She giggled. It was Taylor's. All my stuff that was packed in my bag was dirty. It's a little small, but we're close to the same size. I don't want to talk about Taylor right now, he growled. Jeffy smiled. Why not? I wasn't much older than her when I asked you to have sex with me. And we didn't do it then. And we're not doing it now. She closed her eyes. Didn't you just say you were going to give me comfort? No, I said you needed comfort. I didn't say I was going to give it to you. Not in the way you had in mind, anyway. Why can't you be like you were all those years ago? I suggested we have sex, and it took you all of 3 seconds to agree. Come on now. I was a 17-year-old horny teenager being offered sex by the hottest girl in the world. I was only human. Tonight, though, Jeffy, I'm different than I was back then. I'm no longer a randy teenager. I'm a man in complete control of my body. And as much as I want you, it's not right, and I know you know that. I can't believe you don't want me. Oh, Jeffy, you are amazingly beautiful, and I do want you. But remember, I want you forever, not for a quick release. He continued to rub her shoulders and neck as they looked in the mirror, almost trance-like, and when her eyes drifted shut, he kissed her back between her shoulder blades. They didn't speak any more. She turned into his arms, and he lifted her and carried her to the air mattress, where he settled her down in the curve of his body, and they both fell immediately to sleep. New scene. Ricky came instantly awake. He'd received a text. Maybe Jeffy had worked on the equation all night and finally solved it. He grabbed up his phone from the nightstand and read the message. He ground out a curse as he swung his legs over the side of the bed. What's wrong? Bree asked sleepily. He thought about telling her to go back to sleep. It was nothing, but he only thought that because it had taken her forever to finally fall asleep. However, they'd made a pact as a family, and she deserved the truth. Read the message on my phone, Ricky said as he jumped from the bed and pulled on jeans and a black t-shirt. Bree focused her eyes on the message. She's moving fast, no time to text. Details later. Who's this from? Bree said, her voice rising in pitch. Cam. He's talking about Jeffy? Yes. Thank goodness she wasn't able to give him the slip. I'm going down to the office to see if she left any clues. What do you mean, give him the slip? What is she trying to do? Bree asked. Ricky took Bree by the shoulders. Okay, sweetheart, you gotta calm down. I need a clear head. Apparently, Jeffy saw the equation and went to the meeting place without telling anyone. Bree gasped. Why? Why would she do that? Because the letter said if she involved anyone, we would never see Shelley and Dad again, so she's trying to protect them. Oh no, Bree said, pulling on a robe as she paced back and forth. I need you to stay calm and help me, okay? Tears sprang to her eyes. It's like when she was 7 and Tommy Crane took her from Mom. It feels the same, I know. Hopefully is the same, he said. What are you talking about? She practically screamed. He smiled. She promised me she'd wear Jason's GPS ankle bracelet. I thought you weren't going to involve Jason. Ricky shrugged. Well, I needed a failsafe. Bree blew out a breath and wiped at her tears. I'll be in the office. I need you to wake Joey and Mark without waking the rest of the house, if possible, and send them to me. She nodded. New scene. Joey, trained to become alert, immediately grabbed up his phone and sprang from the bed. It was his boss on the line. To the point, Agent Adams. I realize you all intended to leave Ameritech out of the picture, but I cannot return the favor. Jeffy has solved the equation and taken off to rendezvous with your parents' abductors. Damn it. She thinks she's alone, but Cam is on her tail. Joey blew out a relieved breath as he pulled his pants on and reached into the closet for his bag. So, Cam called you? No. Cam was true to the family he will soon be a part of. I had Kimmy keeping an eye on Jeffy. She was a little more loyal to me. It wasn't a matter of loyalty, Jason, Joey started. Later, Jason said, I have a GPS reading on Jeffy. Gather whomever you had plans to gather when this time came and get a move on. Yes, sir. Joey pushed the end button and slipped his phone in his pocket. Tossing his bag on the bed, he pulled his weapon, checked the ammo, strapped on his shoulder holster, and holstered the weapon. What's happening? Bree asked, her voice thick with sleep. Jeffy's on the move. Gotta go, baby. Bree gasped and sprang from the bed, pushing her shiny black curls out of her face. Shh, Joey said softly. You'll wake the girls. She threw her arms around her husband. Joey, please be careful. I will be. And bring them all home safe and sound, she added. I will. He bent his head and kissed her hard with all the love he felt, always knowing in his job it could be the last time. She hugged him hard, letting her love, her passion for him make him strong. He pulled away at the soft knock on the door. He opened it to find Bree standing there. "Jeffy's gone," Bree began. Grabbing his bag, he stepped out of the room. "I know. Where's Ricky?" New scene. Keeping the house asleep had been impossible, yet even though most everyone was up, the place was nearly silent. Currently, the only sound was the heavy metal clink of weapons being checked. Maddie patted around the kitchen, making coffee, tea, anything to be of help. Lizzie Tanner stood nearby, her face stoic. Her husband was a hero, and she had no doubt that between him and the rest of this group of warriors, they would come back with Jeffy, Eric, and Shelley. Mickey Davis felt likewise. Ricky, Mark, Joey, Keegan, and Jeff were ready to go. Chaz Stewart and John Apple, having once been military, would be going along as the designated drivers. Ricky nodded at Toby Nash. Toby nodded back. "The boys and I will safeguard your loved ones." Ricky eyed the 6 teenage boys standing just inside the kitchen doorway. Young Eric, Jojo, Logan, Jake, Gabriel, and Toby's son Brody. He was sure a finer group of young men could not be found. Ricky's phone rang. Seeing it was Cam, he answered and put it on speaker. It was difficult to make out what he was saying with the roar of the custom-built motorcycle he was on. "They have her, picked her up in Anaheim. We're headed west on SR 91 toward Corona. She took the Stewart's rental, left it in Anaheim. Oh, and there's a paparazzo tied up just outside the gate. He wanted to follow Jeffy. I had to convince him otherwise. I'll make contact when I know more." The call ended the same time Joey's phone rang. "Put me on speaker," Jason said. Joey did as instructed. "I'll be handling the communications from here. I've got a reading on Jeffy's GPS bracelet. You guys get on the road. Keegan, you can tell your buddies, namely Tristan, Braden, and Caleb, that I am now in the loop and to tune into my communication. What's their current location?" Keegan cleared his throat. "They're down the road at a Roach Motel." "Thank you. Moving on. We've been working on the information Jeffy provided yesterday. There's thousands of businesses with the infinity sign as a logo. Most of them are yellow in color. Gedna is not coming up in our database, so I will be involving our friends at the Bureau. Get on the road and do me a favor. Kimmy is not answering her cell phone. Ask her to come home. Angel is having a bit of a hard time." The entire group looked around, realizing Kimmy was nowhere to be found. "Boys," Ricky said. The boys took off in different directions, searching the house for Kimmy. "Hello," Jason said. Jason, Kimmy's not here. We're searching the house now, but no one has seen her," Ricky answered. "Hold on," Jason said. They could hear the buttons clicking on his computer. Damn it, damn it, damn it," Jason muttered. "I've pulled up her GPS signal in her cell phone. She's moving west on 91. She's following Jeffy? Apparently. Cam should see her." Jason was silent a moment, piecing the puzzle together. "Unless she's behind him." Or, Joey put in, "unless she's trying to pass herself off as Jeffy and got in one of those 4 Yukons." "I'm going to lock that girl up and throw away the key," Jason said. "Angel is going to go bonkers." "Yeah, Jensen too," Joey added. "We'll come get Angel," Jody Apple said quickly. "Bring her here." "Thanks. I'll be in touch." Jason ended the call. Ricky looked to Bree, intending to kiss her goodbye when he saw her furrow brow. "What is it, baby?" Bree looked around the room. "Where's Taylor?" Ricky looked to young Eric, but his son shook his head. "She's not in the theater room. No one is." He gestured around at the group at large. "We're all right here. I thought she'd gone to your room to sleep," young Eric said, his voice shaking. "No," Bree said, the panic rising. "She's not in our room." "Oh, no," Logan said softly. "What is it, son?" Mark asked him, noting his pale face. "It's okay. Just tell us what you know." She came to me last night. She asked me what I would do if I knew I could do something to help with the situation." And I told her, he stopped and ran his hand over his hair. I told her if I thought I could do something, I would do it without hesitation. And she asked me if I thought she looked like Jeffy. And I thought she wanted to know if I thought she was pretty. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I told her she could pass as Jeffy's twin. Bree started to cry. I'm sorry, Logan said. I didn't realize what she was thinking. It's not your fault, Mark stated firmly. We're all responsible for our own actions. He nodded toward the others. Boys, search the house to make sure she's not here. Once again, the teen boys took off. A few minutes later, they came back without Taylor. However, Eric had a piece of paper. He handed it to his father. I found this on her air mattress. Ricky took the note and read aloud. Mom, Dad, don't be mad. I know you think I'm just a kid and all I'm good for is watching the little ones. But I'm going to try to make them think I'm Jeffy. I'm going to get in one of those cars. I'm hoping that somehow I can beat her to the cars and everyone takes off without her. Maybe it will keep Jeffy safe. She's important to keep safe. Maybe I won't make it in time and it will only confuse the bad guys. At least Jeffy won't be alone. I need to do this. I couldn't stand the thought of Jeffy facing these people alone. I know you all intend to follow close behind, but this way I'll be right there with her. And I'm not afraid, Mom. I had to do this. I look so much like her. I'm not worried. Dad, by the time this crazy dude realizes he has the wrong person, I know you'll be there. I love you all so much, and when I get back, you can put me on restriction or whatever you want. It felt important that I do what I can to help Jeffy and Grandma and Granddad. Love always and forever. Heart, Taylor. P.S. In case you're wondering where the Stewart's rental car is, I saw Jeffy snatch the keys at dinner. I'm going to hide in the back seat. Bree clutched her stomach. Oh, my baby, what have you done? She cried. It doesn't even make sense. How can she beat her to the cars if she's in the same car as Jeffy? She's not thinking clearly. Ricky grabbed her and scooped her up before she could fall over and sat her down on a chair. Kneeling in front of her, he squeezed her hand. Okay, Bree, we're going to bring her back. You trusted us to get Jeffy and Shelley and Dad, right? So you got to trust us to get Taylor, too. I swear it. I'll bring her back. Tears ran down her face. Taylor, oh, Taylor. Ricky gave her a soft shake. Bree, look at me. Her eyes focused on his. I'll bring her back. She nodded. We gotta go, Keegan said softly. Ricky rose, and immediately the woman closed ranks around Bree. New scene. What do you mean you have her? Car 2 has her. I was at the rendezvous point, and this woman opened the door and got in, and I took off, said the driver of the third car. Julian Black rose from his chair and began to pace the expanse of his luxurious office. Describe her to me. The driver turned and eyed his passenger through the bulletproof glass that separated him from the back seat. She's about 5'4" to 5'6", long, black, wavy hair, dark eyes, a looker for sure. I mean, she looks like the pics of Dr. Kino. And so does Gaff's passenger. He sighed. Fine. Take her to point B and follow procedure. When you get there, send me a picture. He hung up and talked to the window of his office. He hung up and walked to the window of his office, staring out over the dark mountainside. He didn't have time to even consider the new information before Car 1 called in. Turning, he slapped his hand on the speaker button. Report. I have her, sir. We're on the way to point B. Julian Black let out a string of profanity. Sir? Describe her to me. Medium height, nice body, long dark hair, dark eyes, maybe a slight Asian or Polynesian look to her. She looks exactly like the picture you showed us of Dr. Kino. Yeah, well, we'll just see how exact. Gaff and Packer also have a passenger with the same description. Proceed to point B and send me a picture of your passenger when you get there. He hung up and called Gaff. Yeah, Gaff answered. Both Wagner and Packer have a passenger with the same description. When they get there, follow the same procedure. Once you know they're clean, put them in your car and bring them all to me. Send Wagner and Packer in different directions with the girls' personal effects. These people think they can play games with me. They will soon see that I mean business. Got it. And remember, do not come in through the front gate. Take the road to the back of the mountain tunnel entrance. But that's at least 5 miles more out of the way. Yes, it is, and it's that way for a reason. Just do it and don't question me. Yes, sir. He ended the call, his body vibrating with anger. Who did Gaff think he was, second-guessing him? Once again, he went to the window to look out at the darkness. He had a temper. His mother always told him it was his Latin blood, but he believed it was simply a matter of being impatient with the rest of the humanity. That and possibly never receiving the respect and admiration he so deserved. Oh, he was respected for his wealth, 'cause money talks. He was respected by his employees because he had the potential to take them from rags to riches and back again on his whim. Yet he'd been denied the respect of the medical world. That was about to change. His work as a geneticist was leaps and bounds above what anyone had accomplished. Dr. Kino was the only one who could even be considered close to his same level. An evolved creature with an evolved brain and beauty to match. Only he understood her true worth, and only he would know what it would truly meant to lose her. However, her mind had been poisoned by this need to do good, to save the masses from their pitiful little selves. Let them kill themselves off. Let the species evolve. With her by his side, they held in their hands the means to repopulate the world with beautiful, intelligent geniuses. A higher species, one he would create using his knowledge of genetics and her amazing DNA. Their amazing DNA. He'd calm some. That was a good feeling for his prisoners downstairs, because he'd first thought he would wake pain and allow him to do his thing. Torture, maim, rape, break bones, inflict pain. Black drew a deep breath. No, not yet. He would first see just who was in those cars. New scene. The SUV, driven by John Apple, sped along the highway. Inside, Joey, Mark, Ricky, and Jeff Davis rode, the latter three quietly listening to the current conversation on their earpieces. You can pull back, Joey said loudly to Cam. Jason's in the mix and he has Jeffy on GPS. I might pull back some, but I'm not taking my eyes off Jeffy. Period. Joey nodded. He completely understood and appreciated Cam's attitude. Well, you need to pull back some, Joey urged, because there is at least one car behind you holding another hostage. What? Who? Cam yelled. Jason has a GPS signal on Kimmy's phone. She's missing, and he's picking up her signal a mile or so back of you. What the hell? Trying to play hero is my guess, trying to pass herself off as Jeffy. Okay, I'm backing off. I'll see if I can get a visual on both cars. Oh, there's more. We think Taylor might be in one of the cars, too. Cam tapped the mic in the side of his helmet. Come again, Joe. Can't hear you. Sounded like you said Taylor was in the car. Agent Taylor? No. Taylor. My niece. Ricky's daughter. Holy hell. How's Ricky taking this? He's very quiet. Yeah, I bet. Is he in the car with Kimmy or in a third car? Is she in the car with Kimmy or in a third car? Well, we just don't know. Probably in a separate car. She left a note stating her intention to try to pass herself off as Jeffy. Cam downshifted. They're slowing down ahead. Looks like they're getting off of I-10 in Beaumont. I'm backing off, watching for Kimmy and Taylor. How far back are you? We're about 30 minutes behind you. We're depending on you, Cam. I get that, he said as he downshifted again. I'm pulling over to a side street. I will try to stay parallel with the motorcade, but still don't see another Yukon yet. It could take a few minutes. I'll circle around. Joey listened to the roar of Cam's bike, some thumping and bumping. Cam? Joey waited a few seconds. Cam. In the second car, driven by Chaz Stewart, Keegan blew out of breath as he listened in. He shook his head. He's down. Cam, come in, Joey continued. When he didn't answer, Joey switched to Jason's communication. Jason, you got this? I got it, Jason said quietly. He's down. New scene. Taylor thought she'd be calm and brave, So why was her body trembling so hard she could barely hold still? Maybe it was her subconscious mind recognizing the danger of her situation. She had actually been calm up until a few minutes ago when the dude left the highway and turned down a side street and was headed around the backside of a small, dirty-looking motel. Taylor didn't have much experience with this. She'd been pampered most of her life. Her family had never stayed anywhere where the street lights didn't shine brightly and the room didn't smell clean and fresh. They'd roughed it on some camping trips, and Taylor had enjoyed the nitty-gritty business of camping, but that really wasn't the same as arriving at a nasty-looking motel with a man who could end up being her murderer or the murderer of her grandparents. She wondered if this was where they were being held. The SUV pulled up next to another one exactly like it. The driver got out, and Taylor tried to open her door and realized it was child-proof lock. She waited for the man to come around and let her out. When he did, he grabbed her by the arm, squeezing tight, and he jerked her from the car. "Ow," Taylor complained. "I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to break my arm." The man eased off and pushed her toward the door with the number 116 painted on the front. The door opened and Taylor was shoved inside. She tried to hide her surprise when she saw her Aunt Jeffy sitting in a chair against the far wall, a man kneeling in front of her, wrapping her wrists in nylon cable ties. "Taylor, what are you doing here?" Taylor said quickly. Jeffy rolled her eyes. "Very funny, Taylor. I guess I should ask you the same question." She eyed the man who bound her wrists. "This girl is my niece. You need to let her go and send her back. She wasn't part of the deal." "Shut up," the man barked. "Gaff," Taylor's driver said with a smile. "You seem a little on edge. Try taking a few breaths." "Shut up, Packer, or I'll shut you up." Packer shrugged, then pushed Taylor down to sit on the bed, took out his phone and held it up. "Smile for the camera," he said, before he snapped the picture and forwarded it to his boss. "She isn't Dr. Kino," Gaff said. "Black has already confirmed that this one is her," he said, jerking his thumb back at Jeffy. Packer shrugged. "So, what does he want me to do with this one?" "'Cause I can think of a few things right off the bat." Taylor drew a fearful breath as she grasped his meaning. "Don't you touch her. She's just a kid," Jeffy said, her voice fierce. "Doesn't look too much like a kid to me." "Shut up," Gaff barked. "Black wants me to take all three of them back with me. He wants you and Wagner to go on the decoy routes with their stuff." "Three?" The door burst open and Kimmy was shoved through the door. "Kimmy," Jeffy said. "Why are you calling me Kimmy? You're Kimmy," Kimmy said. "Oh, Kimmy, you adorable idiot," Jeffy said lovingly. "They know who I am. This Mr. Black guy knows everything about me. Don't you think he would recognize me instantly? Did you talk Taylor into this ridiculous scheme?" "I swear I wouldn't do that. I didn't know Taylor was going to try to come along." "Enough," Gaff said. "We don't have a lot of time." He motioned at Kimmy and Taylor. "Take off your jewelry, your hair clips, your watch," he said pointedly to Kimmy. "Rings, earrings, bracelets, necklace, everything." Kimmy frowned at him. "You're going to rob us?" The man reached out and grabbed Kimmy by the front of her shirt. "Shut up and take them off, or I'll take them off for you." "Kimmy!" Jeffy yelled quickly, recognizing her stance to strike. "Just do what they say. I need to get to Mom and Dad." Kimmy blew out a reluctant breath. She'd rather fight any day. "Fine," she said sharply as she began removing her earrings. The jewelry was placed in a small pile on the bed. "Now shoes and socks," Gaff ordered. Taylor complied immediately. Kimmy took time to roll her eyes before she kicked off her shoes. "Those are $300 shoes," she complained. "Okay, hands against the wall, ladies," Gaff said, a smile finally crossing his face. Taylor couldn't help the tears that suddenly sprang to her eyes. She did as told, squeezing her eyes shut as the man ran his hands over her. He found her cell phone in her hip pocket and tossed it into the pile. "It's okay, Taylor," Jeffy comforted quietly. "It's just a body, right?" Taylor looked up at her aunt and nodded slowly, trying to remember her father's and grandfather's teachings. Still, she was grateful when he finished and shoved her down to sit on the bed. He wasn't so quick with Kimmy, prodding and probing, causing a small wince to come from Kimmy's throat. Kimmy didn't fight, but she did smile up at the man when he was finished. I'm pretty sure you're going to die for that, she said, thrilling when his face darkened with anger. Your turn, Gaff said as he pulled Jeffy up from the chair. She wore no visible jewelry, so he shoved her against the wall and searched her. She was pleased to see they weren't interested in her removing her shoes and socks. She tried not to think about the hands groping her body. It was only a body, after all. They couldn't touch her mind. She hoped Taylor had learned that lesson, even though her young niece's tears proved otherwise. Jeffy thought he was finished with her when he motioned toward her feet. Take off your shoes and socks. My feet get cold, Jeffy argued. He didn't ask her again. He merely pushed her back onto the bed, grabbed her feet, and pulled them off. Well, what have we here? He said, examining the anklet she wore. Carefully, he unfastened the clasp and removed the piece of jewelry, dashing Jeffy's hopes of leading her rescuers to them. Gaff handed the anklet to Watson. You take this one and head for the north route. Packer, you take the rest of the junk and head back west. Packer eyed the females. Amazing how much they look alike, he grinned. Hey, there's 3 of them. There's 3 of us. Sure you don't want to have a little fun first? Taylor's eyes filled, and the man moved close to Kimmy. What about you, sweetheart? He said, touching his finger to her chest. Your friend Gaff there, he's already a dead man twice over. You want to join him? Kimmy said with a smirk. Packer laughed. Twice over, huh? How you figure? First, for touching Taylor. She's Ricky Keno's daughter, and he could tear your heart out quickly and easily. And second, for touching me, 'cause my father owns Ameritech, and my boyfriend is an agent, and both of them have amazing tempers, and I'm going to bet it's my father that gets to you first. No, actually, I just realized who will get to you first. You touch Jeffy, and your own boss man will murder you because my father ever has. And your boss man will murder you before my father ever has the chance. The man backed away. This chick is crazy, he muttered. Gaff smiled and held out more cable ties. Secure the wrists and help me get them in the car. New scene. They were together for those few minutes, but they've split up again, Jason said. Kimmy's GPS signal is headed back toward you. I want you to stand back and intercept. And Jeffy? Ricky asked. Keegan's car will stay on her signal. I'm thinking they met together in Beaumont, figured out which one was Jeffy, took her on, and sent Kimmy and Taylor back. I thought you would like the chance to intercept your daughter, Jason explained. Ricky ran a hand over his hair. This was a freaking nightmare. His sister and parents in jeopardy in one place, his daughter in another, or so Jason was assuming, and Jason's daughter was also in peril, and she was possibly with Taylor now. Jason was actually having to depend on the people in this car to rescue them both. Okay, Ricky said softly to Joey. We're on it, Joey finally said to Jason. Thank you. I have Braden and Caleb searching for Cam, and I'm dispatching a chopper, and Keegan's car is on Jeffy's GPS trail. Your time of interception is 9 minutes, and get in position. John got off at the next exit, swung over the bridge, and eased down onto the entrance ramp to wait for Jason's next transmission. The car was quiet, which for the Kenos was a sign of extreme control. Intercept in 15 seconds, Jason said. Mark looked back through the window. At 3 in the morning, all he could see were lights of cars. Thank goodness there weren't too many of them. Start moving, Jason said. John eased the car down the entrance ramp, picked up speed. He's on top of you, Jason said. John took off, easily finding the black Yukon and pulling in behind. No passengers visible, Joey reported once they'd followed for a few minutes. Ricky thought his heart would explode. It's possible his daughter was right there in front of him. All he could do was follow and eventually secure the vehicle and its contents. They couldn't force it off the road for fear of injuring the girls if they were in there. They could be tied up on the floor or lying down in the seats. His mind tried to wander to telling his wife that Taylor was... No, stop it. Taylor was fine. She would be home safe and sound soon, along with Jeffy and Kimmy and Dad and Shelley. She was fine. But why? Why did she pull the stunt? Was it possible he hadn't been giving her enough attention? Did she feel she needed to prove something to her parents? Why did she have to make this statement? He thought of her remark about babysitting. It was true. It was so easy to ask her to watch the kids while the adults worked on more important things. He was sorry they made her feel unimportant. Hopefully, he would soon be able to remedy the situation. It seemed they rode forever when it was probably only a few minutes. The Yukon pulled off the interstate and headed west toward the coast. They were relieved when it seemed to be coming to a halt outside a sleazy dive. Within seconds of the man exiting the Yukon, Joey had him detained, and Ricky and Mark searched the Yukon, finding the pile of jewelry, shoes, and cell phones, which would include Kimmy's GPS. You have about 10 minutes to get information out of him before the feds arrive, Jason said. Ricky looked at Joey. You want me to do it? Jeff, Joey, and Mark remembered back 15 years earlier when they'd watched Ricky extract information from a man who'd broken into their home. They nodded to Ricky. Go for it. Ricky took out his hunting knife. The man who was being held by Joey began to struggle, and Ricky shook his head and put the large knife back in its sheath at his side. It took up an extra few seconds, but the intimidation factor was important. Instead, he took out his pocket knife, raising the thin blade and looking it over. Hold his head, Ricky ordered. Mark placed him in a headlock to allow Ricky to insert the knife up inside the man's nose. One false move and the blade goes into the eye socket or further into the brain. It's up to you. Do you understand? Don't nod. Just speak very slowly. Yes, the man said, his voice filled with fear. What's your name? Roy. Roy Packer. Okay, Roy, you're going to tell me where the girls are, and then everything will be okay. Do you understand? Yes, the man squeaked. Start talking. They're with Gaff. He's headed back to the compound. Where's the compound? I don't know. Ricky nudged the knife upward. Oh, God, I don't know, the man said, tears forming in his eyes. I swear I've never been there. I just know it's somewhere in northern Arizona, and it's a 10-hour drive. Only certain people get to know where the boss man is. Who's the boss man? Packer was silent, and Ricky probed the knife up a little further, and blood oozed from the man's nose. He'll kill me, Packer cried. Answer the questions, Roy Packer, unless you want this knife to accidentally slip up into your eye socket. We call him Dr. Black. I don't know a first name. Are my parents being held at this compound, Ricky asked. Yeah, they're there. That's all I know. You've got to believe me, he said, as Ricky twisted the knife slightly. What did you do to the girls when you stopped earlier? We didn't hurt them, I swear. We just took their stuff, you know. We searched them and took their stuff. That's all. I took some and Watson took some. We're the decoys. We put the women in Gaff's car and he's driving them to the compound. Women? One of them was just a little girl. Did you touch my daughter? The man choked down a sob. Ricky leaned closer. Did you touch my daughter? No, I swear. It doesn't feel like you're telling me the truth, Ricky said as he moved the knife. We thought about it, but we didn't. I swear, we just took their stuff. Company, Jeff said quietly. Ricky removed the knife and smiled at the man. Thank you, Roy. You did real good. And that is the end of chapter 14.